One Friday Fights 105 is live this Friday at 2:30 South African time on the One Championship YouTube page. I'll be breaking down this fight card next in Fight. Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Fighting with Friends. It's your boy, Brother Gaia, back again to do another preview of One Friday Fights 105. It is a fantastic card. I have to apologize for taking a little bit long to get this card or this episode out for you. It's just been a little bit of a busy week outside of our podcast. And also, I'm still quite hungover of the Arsenal win over Real Madrid. I mean, I still can't believe what I saw over those 2 legs. But we are here to talk about fights, not football. Let's get straight into it. As always, we will start at the top of the card. We will begin with Kongsuk taking on Lamnamoonlek in a rematch. These guys have fought before. Let me just bring it up on screen for y'all. There we go. Let's start with that one. Kongsuk taking on Lamnamoonlek, and this is a fantastic rematch. I'm happy that the One Championship has made this rematch, this fight back together, because I do think that it deserved a rematch, particularly how that first fight went. Before I go back and recap that first fight a little bit, I'm going to give you some statistics on these two young athletes. Kongsuk, 24 years old, is recorded One Championship. He's 6 wins, 3 losses, 0 no contest. He's got 6 wins by decision. Great boxer, great footwork. He has good game planning. Like I said, he beat Lamnamoonlek in his last fight by split decision, but he's also gone some fantastic wins before that. It's really good fighter. Lamnamoonlek, slightly older, 27 years old, record One Championship is 0, 1 and 0. He's a high precision speed and also a former champion of Lumpinee Stadium as well as Rajamdan. And I also seen him fight on the Thai Fight League before, and I think he's a hell of a fighter. Packs a lot of power, he's got a lot of speed. He's on the shorter side, but it doesn't mean anything. He's just a phenomenal athlete. I did think in that first fight against Kongsuk in his debut, came up short, but it was very competitive. And I think he lost the fight by split decision, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, split decision. So that just shows you how close that fight really was. You know, I remember what made Kongsuk win the fight was that he was more active, right? He was a lot more active. He was a cleaner striker on the night. Like, he was counter-striking a lot better. Pardon me. I will say that towards the halfway point of round 2, going into the third round, Lamnamoonlek was starting to take control of the fight. He started to be the one who was pushing the pace. And he actually won that third round. But I mean, we know how the scoring system works in One Championship. So it's not about round for round, it's about the whole fight. And the entire fight, Kongsuk was the better fighter. But I could see the argument from Lamnamoonlek. How do I see the second fight playing out? I don't know. It will be more of the same thing. I think now that Lamnamoonlek has got his debut jitters out and he's fought Kongsuk before, I think he knows more or less what he needs to do to get the job done. It's going to be more difficult for him to do it. Kongsuk is an elite striker. He's not the champion, or he's not in the rankings just of yet. But I mean, his style is really phenomenal to watch and it's hard to beat. Particularly because he's got fantastic footwork. He fights out of southpaw or the orthodox stance, depending on who he's fighting against. And his ability to switch those stances almost seamlessly is what makes him dangerous. And then his ability to also be out of the way. He doesn't stay in range to get tagged. Not often you see Kongsuk getting tagged by people, by fighters. We see him getting rocked. You always see him find a way to move out of danger quite nicely. And I think that's a phenomenal thing to use when taking on a fighter like Lamnamoonlek, who is... How do I put this? Lamnamoonlek is the kind of fighter that he's not necessarily a bull. Like, he pushes forward a lot, but he doesn't put himself in a position where he's reckless, and he puts himself in a position where he can get counted quite frequently. Lamnamoonlek is defensively sound, but he does tend to prioritize pressure. He'll stay on you the whole time. He puts the gas on you the whole time, and I think that's what Kongsuk was. Being the counter striker that he is, he doesn't mind that kind of fight. He's the one. He will just keep dodging it, moving backwards. You know, moving from left to right, and he does it really well. And it's the kind of fight that Kongsuk thrives in, and that's why he won that first fight. So I think for Lamnamoonlek, what he's going to have to do differently in this fight is, instead of trying to do into the pocket so frequently or force to enter in the pocket, I think what he should do is, because Kongsuk is a counter striker, what he should be doing is actually attacking Kongsuk's legs, so that he doesn't utilize that footwork, so that he doesn't become such a difficult target to hit. If Lamnamoonlek attacks the legs, attacks the body, then it'll set up his hands. Because I do think that Kongsuk is the better boxer. He uses better boxing combinations. But Lamnamoonlek, if he uses that leg kicks and those body kicks to start off his combinations, to cut off the angles, I think it gives himself a much better chance of actually making this fight tip into his favor. I'm not gonna say if I must choose a winner, it's hard for me to pick one. It's just because I think rematches are hard to choose, especially because of how this fight played in the first fight. The context of the first fight meant it was split down the middle. You know what I mean? It could have gone to either fighter, and I think judges gave it to Kongsuk on the night. So for that, it's like, I want to say Kongsuk again because of just how he able to navigate the fight, how he's able to navigate the pressure of Lamnamoonlek. But it's a rematch. I'm sure Lamnamoonlek will learn from his mistakes in that first fight, and also he's in his prime of his career. He's 27 years old, expecting to actually make noise in the one championship. So I do think that he's going to make this fight more competitive and possibly win it. But I'm still going to go with Kongsuk, just because he's been doing this in the one championship. He's been able to take on hard-hitting fighters, and he's able to move around them and not take damage, and that's difficult to do. And I think if Kongsuk does what he does to everyone, I think he wins this fight again. And that's just going to decision like he does to everybody. And fighters who win fights on decision, if I can bring some rhetoric or I can bring an example, think of Dominic Cruz when he was in his prime in the UFC and in WEC. He was known for not being hit. He was known for not taking any damage in most of his fights, but he never really knocked anybody out. He never really kept people out. He would just beat them by outschooling them, out footworking, out landing, just not taking any damage. And that's what Kongsuk's going to do here. I think he's going to utilize his jab, utilize his footwork, deep kick, body kick, utilize the range that he has over Lamnamoonlek, and then just stay out of danger. And he's going to win the fight by decision again. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, please, ladies and gentlemen. As always, like, share, and subscribe if you like the content. Let everybody know that Fighting with Friends is popping off when it comes to the one championship content. All right, I'm going to keep it moving, ladies and gentlemen, to the next fight. We're going to go to the co-main event, where we see the return of AD's favorite fighter in the one championship, Thant Zin, and he's taking on power puncher in Petsukumvit. And I am intrigued by this matchup. It's a flyweight Muay Thai fight, which means there's some growth for these fighters. That means they can actually do something in the division if they continue to make this kind of weight. But let's start with Petsukumvit. He's 26 years old, record in one championship. 3 wins, 4 losses, 0 no contests. He's got 1 win by KO. He's on a 4-fight losing streak currently. He lost to Duan Sompong by a unanimous decision. But prior to that 4-fight losing streak, I actually thought that Petsukumvit was going to be a top contender because he was knocking people out. Strong, powerful guy. Hits really hard. Hits really hard for the flyweight division. But then he went on a 4-fight losing streak. Okay, granted, in that 4-fight losing streak, he took on some really good athletes. We should look at the record again of who he took on that 4-fight losing streak. Duan Sompong is who he lost to, fighting out of Rotang's camp, by the way. And then he lost to Kongsuk, who's in the main event. Then he lost twice to Zhao Suyai back-to-back. Those are really, really, really good opponents. He beat Kong Toani, in case people didn't know. Like, that's why I spoke highly of Petsukumvit earlier in the week when I did a one championship news segment. Keep a check out for that. We do it every Tuesday. But yeah, I was always like, Petsukumvit, if you're beating athletes like that, I'm like, he has to be top quality. Because if you think about Kong Toani today, he's fighting against Nong O for a second time, potentially fight for a title in this weight division. So that's why I spoke volumes about Petsukumvit. But he's taking on Thant Zin, 20 years old, record in one championship, 2 wins, 2 losses, contests, 1 win by KO, 1 win by TKO, 2-fight losing streak, losing to Suryan Lek by TKO. Before that, he lost to Takeru Sagawa. Those 2 fights were interesting because both fights Thant Zin lost in the same manner, like identical manner, which is something that I highlighted about Thant Zin before the Takeru fight. The Takeru fight, he lost kickboxing, so I want to kind of remove that a little bit because I think Thant Zin is a better Muay Thai practitioner than he is a kickboxer. But what I want to highlight about Thant Zin is that there's something about him that I want him to sort of work on, and that is he's conditioned well, right? He fights at the Myanmar. We know that the lightweight fighters they build themselves around conditioning, the ability to take punches and move forward through it, right? But you are human, and Takeru and Thant Zin, Suryan Lek has exposed that of the Myanmar fighters. Even when Sulan U fought against Nabil Anand, they showcased this. You can pepper them, and they will crack. Right? If you hit them in the right positions, if you kick them in the right spots, they will fold. Thant Zin, what we saw in that fight against Takeru took his legs out. and then took his body out, and he wasn't able to come back from it. When he fought against and then Thant Zin fought against Suran, same thing happened. And Thant Zin was landing, but then Suran started attacking the legs, and then he started going for the body, and then he started seeing Thant Zin fall to that, and he didn't like it. And I think what Thant Zin used to learn now, going forward in his career, is not to take the shots, but to sort of roll them. If a shot's coming into him, check those leg kicks. Don't just take it and go and power yourself up in the fight forward. Like that's fun and it hypes the crowd up and stuff. Probably hypes up the fighter as well. But you're still taking the shot. So you're still taking that damage, and it is accumulative over time. So you need to start checking those kicks more frequently. Be defensively sound. When it comes to the body, sometimes he doesn't have to take those body shots. When he's getting deep, he can lift up his knee, or he can roll his body to the side and the deep slide off him. He doesn't have to just take it and then try and walk forward, because what happens is you see him come second round. He has no stamina. He has no conditioning left. Now he's taking punches where he's folding. You know what I mean? But he's only 20 years old, and I do expect Thant Zin to be a title contender in the future, maybe even champion as he grows in the sport. I do think there's a lot for him to learn. And if you think about how he fights, he's got a lot of talent going forward. Offensively, he's a phenomenal fighter. Throws good combinations, power puncher, good kicks, throws everything with heat. But sometimes to survive the duration of a fight, you don't have to throw every punch and every kick with maximum power. It's going to get you tired. So what I want to see Thant Zin learn also is to utilize the jab, utilize the tip kicks, throw the in video games, you have the heavy punch, medium punch, and you have the light punch. So what Thant Zin can start to utilize is some light punches and medium punches before throwing those heavy shots. You know what I mean? Set those heavy shots up. So when you do throw it and you do put that effort into throwing it, it's almost guaranteed to land. So you don't waste your energy. And I think if you can utilize some game plan like that, he can win a lot of fights. But if he continues to fight that he does fight in the current style, I could see him losing this fight against Petsukumvit. I could see him getting knocked out. You know what I mean? But I think he's going to need to fight a little bit more stylized, utilize a little bit of a game plan. And I think he can go very far in his career. But at this very moment in time, for this particular fight against Petsukumvit, I can see Petsukumvit knocking him out. I can also see Thant Zin. I can also see Thant Zin turning on the heat and winning this fight in the same fashion that he could lose the fight. But I'm not that confident. Purely because his age, he's 20 years old. He's on a 2-fight losing streak, and in the manner of which he's lost those 2 fights is indicated to me that there's holes that needs to be filled. Oh, let me just pause. Let me just change it. There's holes in Thant Zin's game that needs to be alleviated as he grows. But at this moment in time, I can't say that I've seen anything different. I hope that in this fight he proves me wrong and he shows us that difference in his game and that he's learned from those mistakes. Because if he doesn't show that, I can expect Petsukumvit to go out there and knock him out pretty badly. But okay, as always, ladies and gentlemen, let me know your thoughts in the comments. The Myanmar people, give us your thoughts about Thant Zin. Has he worked on something differently? Are we going to expect a different fighter here? Regardless, it's going to be a hell of a fight, and I'd love to hear your thoughts about who you think is going to get the job done in that one. All right, let's keep it moving. It's a little bit of a debutant heavy card. So I'm not going to go too much into detail about this next fight. I do want to talk about Pacquiao. I think he's a fantastic athlete. 23 years old. The Reckoning One Championship is 4 wins, 1 loss, 0 contest. He's on a 4-fight win streak. 3-fight win streak. All his wins came by the via decision. He beat Pet by split decision in his last fight. And exciting prospect, young, good prospect. He's taking on a debutant here in Jakub Postlowski. I don't know much about him, so we'll have to see what this fight looks like. But Pacquiao is a power puncher, strong hitter, good jab, good low kicks, good body kicks. Just exciting fighter to watch. So I think I want to see more of him before I can start to really dig deep into his game plan and his style of fighting. From what I gathered so far, it's just a good fun fighter to watch, and you need to see what he's going to be doing in this next fight. So I'll keep it moving because, like I said, that's a debutant matchup, so there's not much to go off that one. Pardon me. I'm gonna move on. I'm gonna move on to this is another fight between Kao Tem and Duan Tong, and this is another debutant matchup. So I'm gonna bypass that one. There we got 2 debutants again, so I'm gonna bypass that one as well. But I'm gonna be keen to watch it out to see who these athletes are about. As you can see, it's no catchweight, so that's what's keeping me intrigued here. There's no catchweight there, so I'd love to see what that looks like on the night. Another debutant here, so I'm gonna skip that one as well. And then I'm gonna start with I'm gonna go to the headliner on the undercard. Pardon me. The headliner on the undercard, we see Liu Mengyang taking on Mohammad Siasarani. And yeah, this is a good matchup because we've got two fighters here that are pretty much like one fight away of being contracted for both of them. If I'm not mistaken, I think Mohammad Siasarani is contracted to be under connection, so just let us know in the comments there. But let's start with Liu Mengyang. Record in one championship is 1 win, 0 loss, 0 no contest, 1 win by decision. That 1 win came against the current interim champion in that featherweight division, Masahaki no Iri. And that was a beautiful fight. He dropped Masahaki in that first 20 seconds. And he won the fight on decision, back and forth. Myang's tall, actually, for the featherweight division, a little bit fuller than most of these guys. And normally, I thought that Masahaki no Iri was one of the biggest featherweights. If you think about like fullness, like muscle density, not necessarily height, because you go on height. Obviously, Vampara Kuyate is there, but he's not fighting kickboxing though. So Masaki Nori in the kickboxing realm is quite full. Him, Marat Gregorian, and Shingix Alazov, they're quite big for this featherweight division. And I think Liu Mengyang towered over Masaki Noiri. So I was like, hey, he's actually quite a big guy. He fought really well. He's got good condition. He fights at the southpaw stance, got some good leg kicks, but he prefers to use his hands. Right? Mohammad Siasarani is a little undersized for me in the featherweight division, just a little bit, but he's there nonetheless. He's record in one championship. He's 22 years old. Excuse me, which is very surprising. He's record in the one championship. Let me just double check that. I don't know if he's actually 22 years old. Come on, 22 years old, bro. Like, what the hell? He's record in one championship. He's 4 wins, 2 losses, 0 no contests, 1 win by KO. He's on a 2-fight losing streak at the moment. Before that, he was on a 4-fight winning streak. He beat Sitachai and Avatar in that 4-fight run that he was so almost flawless. You know, you beat Sitachai in kickboxing. No one beats Sitachai in kickboxing unless you Shingis or Marat Gregorian. Anyway, I'm a bit worried for Mohammad Siasarani in this fight, just because I think he's gonna have a bit difficulty dealing with the size and the length of Liu Mengyang. And Liu Mengyang also fights very similar to what Kyokushin fighters fight, like, you know, stay almost in that peekaboo head to head, and we're just gonna stay in this close up stance and throw kicks and punches from here, and whatever goes down first. And Mohammad Siasarani is gonna have to not get sucked into that, which he does do in the past. He does get sucked into those kind of brawls. I think for Mohammad Siasarani, he's gonna have to go back to the same Mohammad that fought against Sitachai. Be elusive, use some kicks, use some body kicks, you know, move around, make your opponent chase you, and have them second guessing when they want to enter or throw a strike. You know, I think when that kind of says that kind of Muhammad is a deadly kind of fighter to fight against. It's almost difficult to beat. Look, he's also young, 22 years old, so there's a lot for him to still learn. But I do think that the matchup against Ming Yang is not going to be easy for him. Not going to be an easy fight for him. Because Ming Yang is big, tall, and it's hard to fight against someone that's going to constantly almost utilize that weight and size and walk you back and kind of stay on you the whole time, and you have to push them off and get your strikes off going, step to the side and throw a jab. But it's hard to do that when this guy is just walking you down and staying on you and throwing a strike. As soon as you move to the left, he throws the right hand. You move to the right, he throws the left hand. Keeps you in that phone booth position. So I can expect that game plan from Ming Yang. I expect Siasarani to make Ming Yang miss a lot, get him tired out of there, and counter-strike the fuck out of him. Hard to say who's going to win this fight. Very hard to say because it's not easy beating Noiri, but he did, and Muhammad beat Sitachai. Those are two, you know, kickboxing royalty fighters. I'm gonna go with Ming Yang. I think he's gonna, because he's just a bigger and he hits harder, and I think he's gonna just have that overwhelming pressure, and it's gonna slow Siasarani down, and Siasarani's probably gonna find himself in deep waters as the fight goes on. I do think as the fight goes on, he's probably going to have a difficult time dealing with that pressure. But let's see. It's a good matchup. Our championship did a very good job putting this fight together. So I can't wait to see it. And it's also in the featherweight division as usual. And there's no catch weight. So let's see. There's some athletes to grow here. So I'm quite excited to see that happen in this division. So let's go for that. Let us know in the comments who you think is going to get that job done. As always, like, share, and subscribe. Okay. Let's keep it moving, ladies and gentlemen, to the next matchup. This will be the last fight I'm going to be talking about in this fight card. Let's keep going. See, very debutant heavy. This is the one I'm very intrigued for. We have Ma Sang Kum or Mai Sam Kum taking on Issei Yonaha. Oh no, Yonaha he's becoming a favorite of mine. I only watched him fight once, and I was like, yo, this is a character. Masenkum, 23 years old, record one championship with 6 wins, 1 loss, 0 no contest, 4 wins by KO. He's got a 67% finish rate. He lost to Wacharakon in his last fight by KO. Before that, was on a 6-fight win streak. 6-fight win streak. That's really good. That's really good. Isai Naha, he's 27 years old, record one championship is 2 wins, 0 losses, 0 no contest. 1 win by KO with a 50% finishing rate. He beat Lu Yifu by KO in his last fight. Just a fun fighter. This fight is on the shorter side. These guys are basically strawweights, 122 pounds. What can I say? I expect a barn burner here. I expect fireworks to be thrown. I expect someone to get knocked out in this fight. Mai Sang Kum, powerful. He's the taller fighter. He's very hard to break down. He's got good conditioning. I mean, we have to be honest that Wacharapon that beat him. Wacharapon is on a tear right now, and he's in that stage where he's wanting to get that $100,000 contract now and take on some contenders, title contenders, and even go for the title himself. So that's a different league at the moment. So I can understand why he lost that fight. But I mean, before that, he was just beating people left, right, and center. Hard knockouts, powerful conditioning, just hard to put away. But I do think that Yonaha is the more elusive and creative striker. I think he can fight out of different stances. He can knock you out. He's a fun guy. He's faster. Uses elbows really well. But he can be hit in his last fight. Even though he won, he got knocked down in that last fight. He came back and then he started styling on him. Something about these Japanese fighters that's coming out, like what's it, Nadaka family, for example. Yoshinari Nadaka, and I know his cousin also fought on that fight. What's his name? Shimon, I think. Yeah, so they fought on the card and they look brilliantly. And then you got Noiri, and you've got Akero, this tension that still needs to come into the one championship. Kenshin, sorry. So these guys are looking really good. Are you kidding me? They look elusive, fun strikers that the one championship is bringing into the organization. So I expect Yonaha to go out there and actually give Mai Song Kum another loss. I expect him to do that, but I also expect Mai Song Kum to actually be the more powerful fighter here. Like, I have the more strength, hit harder, have more conditioning, be the taller fighter. I expect him to have those advantages, but I expect Yonaha to be the better fighter, like the all-round better striker. It's just a matter of, is he able to take the punches of Mai Song Kum? And if he can do that, I think he wins the fight. Even he can win the fight by decision, or he can win the fight by stoppage. He's just got that style. He's just got that elusiveness that he can do that. So excited to see that. Really excited to see this matchup. But yeah, that's all my time, ladies and gentlemen. The rest of the card is again another debutant. So yeah, that's not me throwing shade on these athletes. It's a very newbie heavy fight card, but that makes for very exciting fights. So yeah, again, this fight card is One Friday Fights 105. It will be taking place this Friday, the 18th of April at 2:30 South African time, live on the One Championship YouTube page. So stay tuned for that. It's a very, very quiet week just because there's not a lot of fight cards outside of this organization that we are covering. No UFC this weekend, so you can only catch the rest of our recap for this fight card this weekend. Most likely the Saturday is a bit tough. I think we have some other plans happening on that day. It's Easter weekend, so you must enjoy the Easter weekend. I know I'm spending a lot of time with my family, so that's probably why you're not going to get a recap immediately after, but you'll get it the Sunday. So on that note, like, share, and subscribe. Stay tuned with our content. Have a fantastic Easter weekend, and you'll catch the Fighting with Friends crew on the next one. On that note, stay safe. Cheers.